Sometimes I feel like the world is so beautiful that I cry. It's always the smallest things that set me off. I think about how glad I am that butter exists. Not that I particularly like butter, but just the idea that it exists and has history and culture around it. That all people in some way have their own relationship with butter. Those kind of small things are beautiful in a profound way to me and always make me tear up a bit. I abandoned someone who is in prison. We'll call him Jay. The context is pretty intense. I found out this guy existed because I got groomed by the repeat offending pedo/rapist that he shot. We'll call the pedo M. I'm a caregiver who usually takes care of elderly people. I do everything from hospice to nursing people back to health. One day I meet M, who is clearly healing from some intense injuries. Turns out he'd been shot 5 times 1 year prior. I didn't ask much about why because I was unemployed at the time, was only interested in how this guy said he needed a caregiver. Long story short, M lured me into a fake caregiving interview, drugged me, and tore my clothes off and violated me, despite his injuries. It was really traumatizing, and afterwards police did not help me, and yet I wanted to do something, so I looked all over the internet for information about M. Instead I found several articles about how Jay shot M after a minor was found in M's apartment. I didn't know what occurred exactly, but I knew he wouldn't have done what he did unless he'd had a really good reason for it. I ended up writing several drafts of letters to this Jay guy who I'd never met. It was my therapy. I did send one letter that got sent back and I kind of dropped it. It took me about 1 year to finally work up the courage to start calling around the prison system and figure out where Jay was. Found the place, left my number, he called me that day. We start talking about what happened with M and really connect. I find out he was M's neighbor and knew all kinds of nasty stuff he did. Everything he said matched up with what I knew about M, and he knew even more than me. We share all kinds of information about M, and it made me understand even more about how everything occurred. So Jay and I end up talking every day for several weeks. I find out as we're talking that this guy was a CSA survivor, like me. We have a lot of therapeutic conversations about trauma and grief. We talk about things that therapy could never have covered for me, and he shared so much wisdom with me. I really enjoyed talking to him, but he was really insecure and always assumed I didn't want to talk to him no matter what I said. One day his final hearing came up, the one that would give him his final prison sentence. After that I never heard from him again, not one peep. I don't know what happened to him or where he ended up. I cry when I think about that guy. I think about him a lot. It's been a few months since we last talked, and I still don't know if he decided to cut me off or if he just lost my number. I don't know why, but since he stopped calling, it has been a struggle for me to make those calls again to find out where he is and make a connection. I still run into him all the time in public, no matter what part of town I go to. It makes me sick that this person is free and living off disability while Jay is in prison. I just emailed the current principal of my high school bashing a teacher. She was evil to me. I'll make this short and just give 2 examples. But she called me out every day when other students were doing the same thing. Never called them out. Senior year, last day. She was at the door and congratulated everyone. Me? She stopped me and told me, "You passed this class, but good luck in the real world." Other example, which happened earlier. Context: I'm type 1 diabetic. My blood sugar was going low. I walked up to her and asked if I can go to the vending machine that is at most 30 steps away, because I had no emergency candy on me. She told me, "No, and I can send you to the principal for this, you know?" I ignore most of that threat and ask, "Okay, then can I have 3 pieces of candy from your candy bowl?" Right behind her, had mini Kit Kats, Hershey, etc. She said, "No, that's for me and the good students." Again. "I can send you to the principal for this." I hit her with, "Okay, I'll go to the vending machine, get food so I don't die, and walk myself to the principal's office. I'll make sure to tell her I was sent up here because I'm diabetic and dying and didn't have food on me to get my sugar up, and you sent me here due to not having food and eating in your class." I then walked out. I just sent an email out to the current principal detailing everything she did to me. I don't think anything will come of it, but I can finally close the pain this teacher did to me. I'm straight, but I let a twink suck me off. We were both in the same room. I got drunk and later on very horny. I think he noticed it and asked me if I wanted head. He then got closer, started to take off my pants and gave me the best head I ever got in my life. Maybe it was cause I was drunk, but I really enjoyed it more than anything else. IDK if I'm bi now, but I just wanted to share since I can't talk to this with anyone in my life for obvious reasons. I sniffed a girl's butt in school. There is this girl in my school that I like and she is a straight baddie. Today she was walking through the hallway and everyone was staring. While she was passing, I decided to sniff her butt without her noticing as a joke. Everyone laughed and my friend pointed out she had a phone in her back pocket and she might have been recording. Now I'm worried she filmed me sniffing her butt.